Hello and welcome back to What a Lot of Crime. Before we start, guys, I would like you to like the video and subscribe to the channel, please. My name is Charlie, by the way, for those of you who don't know me. But I see Charlotte Mulhall has had her first overnight weekend unsupervised visit with family uh, from her usual home of prison, where I think she definitely should be still kept in prison. For anyone that's not familiar with the case, Charlotte Mulhall is the other half of the infamous Scissor sisters, as they were called. Linda Mulhall is her sister, and Kathleen Mulhall is her mother. Now, Kathleen Mulhall was dating at the time farah, swaleh, noor. So, 20 years ago, Charlotte, the mother, and Linda went drinking, and farah, swaleh, noor tagged along. But at the end of the night, after they'd all been fairly pissed up and had taken several drugs, concoctions of drugs, they went back to Kathleen's house at the time in Richmond Cottages. And seemingly, now we've only the girl's word to go by for this, that farah, swaleh, noor made a pass at Linda. Now, rather than calm Linda down when Linda got a bit agitated about this, Charlotte came up behind him and stabbed him into the neck with a Stanley knife. Now, that wasn't horrific enough. After that, they panicked, so they say. They brought him in to the bathroom and they chopped off his legs, they chopped off his arms, they chopped off his head, and they chopped off his penis. They went that night and they threw the torso, the legs, and the arms into the Grand Canal, where passers-by that morning saw these floating body parts and phoned the Gardaí to report it. The Gardaí thought at first it was a mannequin from some shop that was floating in the river, but when they took the pieces out of the river, they realised this was a human remains. But the Gardaí, they went to some African priests at the time, in fact, because they thought maybe this was some kind of a ritualistic killing, as the penis and the head were missing. But the African society and religious society told them there was no ritual that they were familiar with would involve throwing using the head and the penis and throwing the rest of them into the Grand Canal. But after a couple of weeks of investigation, they tracked him down that this was who he was farah, swaleh, noor, and farah, swaleh, noor had a child. They did a DNA test on the child in the end just to make sure that it was him, but it was him. His friend had seen him that day, the day he was murdered, with 3 women. So it didn't take long to figure out it was Kathleen and her 2 daughters, Charlotte and Linda, that were seen with them. So in the end, after questioning him, they weren't giving up what they had done. But as it happens, a retired detective now, he went around to Linda's house. Linda had a couple of young kids and he had a heart-to-heart with her, and she admitted what she had done. Charlotte, I think if Linda hadn't admitted it, Charlotte certainly wouldn't have admitted it. Charlotte got a 19-year sentence and Linda got a 15-year sentence. Linda was charged with manslaughter. Charlotte was charged with murder. Now, if this crime had been in the United States of America, I suspect she would have got a life sentence with a minimum term of 35 years for this particular killing. She said that she brought the head, the 2 of them in fact got on a bus the following morning with Farah's head and buried it in a park in Dublin. But cops couldn't find it, and when they couldn't find it, she said she went back later, smashed it up and threw it into a ditch. Now, I don't know whether or not that's true. The cops never found the head anyway. For all I know, Charlotte could have it as a souvenir somewhere with 2 candles in it. Who knows? But this girl has never shown an ounce of remorse for this crime. Linda, in fairness, has shown remorse for the crime. she told the detective that day that she was horrified by what she had done, and that's why, in fact, she got a shorter sentence. But Charlotte is seen in many prison videos. She's seen cavorting with male prisoners. In one, she's actually seen with a male prisoner holding a knife up to his neck and having a giggle. So that to me doesn't show an awful lot of remorse. But like I said, if it was the United States of America, she wouldn't have only been charged with the murder, she would have been charged with dismemberment of a corpse, tampering with evidence. There would have been a litany of charges, and that would have all added up to a minimum of 35 years in my mind. But here in Ireland, she got 19. Now, okay, that's just the system in Ireland. Like it or not like it, we can't do anything about that. But I really think that unless a prisoner is shown some kind of genuine remorse for their actions, they shouldn't be let out again. Now, Charlotte is only 39 years of age today. She's still a very young woman after doing this horrific crime. Now, judging by the prison photos and reports of what kind of carry on she's been at in prison, judging by her demeanour, she has now big black eyes, 100 piercings. She definitely doesn't look like a girl to me that's sorry and going to live, what's the word, a good life, a good help to society. I can't think of the word, it's gone. But I'm sure she'll be as much use to society as she was before she went in, which was zero. Productive, that was the word I was looking for. A productive part of society. But we can't do anything about it. She's released, and I hope and pray that she doesn't lose her temper again and kill somebody else. Because, I mean, judging by that, even if she did, she'd still be out at before she was 60. So that's the side of it that's crazy to me, that you can kill somebody and be out still as a young woman or a young man. And even if, like, I mean, to kill two people in Ireland, you still could be out while you're a young woman. If she kills somebody else tomorrow and was recharged, she'd still, what would she get? Another 19 years? She'd be out at 59. So that side of it doesn't make sense to me. Why, when there is so many extra charges that the Gardaí, the Irish police, can put onto a case, I don't know why it's not put on. Okay, she was charged with murder. Charge her with first degree murder, charge her with tampering with a corpse, dismemberment of a corpse, tampering with evidence. There's a litany of charges that could have been given to her to lengthen that sentence. But whether it was sympathy for her, she was 19 at the time, that to me is no excuse. There was a lot of sympathy that she had a disadvantaged background, that she was had substance abuse, addiction issues, that her mother wasn't a great influence in her life. But at the end of the day, while I do have sympathy for anyone with those issues, we all make our own decisions. And there's plenty of people in the same circumstances that don't stab people in the neck with a Stanley blade and then be so callous to chop their body up and hide parts of it. That's callous. If she's lost her temper, the right thing to do was phone the Gardaí. Simple as that. And explain the circumstances. She could have even claimed self-defence. Maybe it was true, maybe it wouldn't have been true, but oh God. And that's why it got so many headlines at the time in Ireland, was the fact that these two young girls at the time chopped up this man's body and scattered parts of him all over Dublin. The mother never took any responsibility for it. They never implicated her in any way. Their father, unfortunately, committed suicide shortly after the crime. Probably he just couldn't take the pressure of it. Knowing his two daughters did this. Maybe he felt guilt for leaving them with the mother at the time. The mother and the father were separated. But definitely, farah, swaleh, noor didn't deserve to die for making a pass at any of them. If they were uncomfortable, they should have left the house. You know, now, farah, swaleh, noor was certainly no angel. He had a litany bad things said about him. He was abusive, violently abusive to most of the women that he interacted with in his life. But definitely, there's nobody forced anyone to be in his company, and the way out of it was to leave the apartment. Simple as that. If they were worried about the mother, they should have left the apartment and phoned the authorities then. But she's out now on her overnight stay, so it won't be long till she's out permanently. So be careful, guys. If you're going to make a pass at someone, make sure it's not Charlotte Mulhall, because you might end up with no head over it. But that's all for now, guys. I shall catch you on the next video. Please like and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment down below. I love reading your comments. Thanks very much. Have a good day or a good night, whatever part of the world you're in, and shall catch you soon.